Hello everyone, welcome to episode. My name is Amit, and today we are going to see an important topic of Spring Security with KeyCloak. Okay, and here we are using the latest version of the Spring Boot called as a Spring Boot 3.3. So let's understand what is the need of KeyCloak first. Okay, so let me revise one thing. Okay, in the last sessions we have completed form-based authentication authorization, then JWT security with authentication and authorization. Then we have seen that Google OAuth2, then OAuth2 SSO, and we also have understanding of the OAuth2 and OpenID Connect. Now, what is the key clock and what is the relation between that OAuth2 and OpenID Connect? Okay, so basically there are multiple OAuth2 servers who provides that facility, okay, to the our application to maintain the username, password, and user detail. So there are some options like this: GitHub, Microsoft Azure. So basically these are the OAuth2 servers. Okay, Active Directory, LinkedIn, Amazon, OAuth0, Okta, KeyCloak, Apple, and Salesforce. Okay, apart from this, there are many others vendors are there market, but these are mainly you can see. Now here we are going to see here KeyCloak today. So why we are choosing KeyCloak? Why not OAuth0, Okta, or others? So the reason behind is that KeyCloak is open source and it is widely used in the market. Okay, we can go for others as well, but if you go for the Google, then it will not provide that much of facility. If you want to get all the facilities from them, then it will that it will provide the paid service. Okay, that OAuth0 and Okta is also free for some feature, but not at all. But in case of KeyCloak, it's totally free and it is widely used. Okay, so let's understand what is the need of that OAuth2 server with OpenID Connect. Okay, so here let's understand the flow of JWT first, and we'll see what is the need of KeyCloak. Okay, so let's say we have a login page where I want to log in with the username password. When I click on the login button, then it will hit to our Spring Boot application. Now here our application will validate that or authenticate that username password and return one token called as a JWT token. Now the next time that UI or browser or client will call our API called as /hello with same JWT token. So basically in the header, we need to put that JWT token. Okay. Then if that JWT token is valid, then our application will allow to access that /hello API. This is very high level flow of the JWT token with Spring Security. If you want in-depth knowledge of the JWT token and internal of the Spring Security, then please go through the playlist of the Spring Security, or I given the link of the security, that important security videos into the description. Okay, so let's focus here. Now when that JWT token is valid, then our application will allow to access this /hello API. Now let's say I join one company, and in that company there are multiple products, okay, or multiple portals like attendance portal, then any Jira portal, okay, any GitHub account or Bitbucket account. So like this, there are multiple portals. For example, let's say this is the second application, this is the third application. Now I also want to here provide a security for the same company and for the same user. Okay, so in that case we have to create a separate Spring Boot application, obviously. Now another thing is we need to implement that JWT logic here in that Spring Security application, and then we need to store that username password into the database. Okay, and we need to provide the Spring Security. Okay, in all application the same data will be there. Okay, not I cannot say the data, but logic of the JWT generation, okay, and authentication. Now if you observe here, we have a same user, okay, whose email ID, let's say avsoftechnology.com @gmail.com, and we are like writing the logic of JWT and storing the date username password on multiple applications. And it's very ridiculous things that if we have 10 applications, then we need to remember the 10 username password. Okay, so for that we can go for the OAuth2 servers. Okay, so there are multiple options in the market for the OAuth2 server which provide a single sign-on. Okay, one of them is KeyCloak, which is open source and widely used. So okay, so before jumping onto the code, I want to show you the best example of the single sign-on. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so here if you see, let me click on that. Okay, if you see here, there are multiple options, right? Meet, Gmail, chat of the Google, YouTube, Gemini, Maps, Google Maps, Drive. So these are the multiple applications, and we can able to access with the same username password or with the same Gmail ID to that all the applications. And imagine if there is no single sign on, then we need to remember this much of username password of for that this much of applications. So to avoid that, it's the best way to use the OAuth2 server. And here we are going to use that KeyCloak open source server. Okay, OAuth2 server. Now let's see the next thing. Okay, so what happen when we use the KeyCloak here? So let's say this is the KeyCloak server. Okay, it's just an application, and here we need to put all the username passwords. Okay, we need to put all the username password. Now KeyCloak is responsible for to generate a JWT token for us. So how? It's very simple. We will see into the code, but basically diagrammatically you can see that login page will hit to the KeyCloak, and KeyCloak will have all the username password of the users. It will validate that username password, and it will generate a JWT token. Once that login page or that browser or that client received, not a browser, but that front-end technology, let's say Angular, okay, Angular application received that JWT, then that Angular application will call /hello API with that JWT token. Okay, so in that way, it will allow to access our application with that JWT token. Now the question is how that Spring Boot application will know this JWT token is valid or not. So here that application will connect with the KeyCloak with the one of the API, and there is a logic to validate that JWT token. Okay, if it is valid, then definitely it will allow that user to access that /hello API. Okay, now let's say I have tomorrow another application. Okay, application 2 like this, and here again I don't need to uh, create a separate JWT logic here and not needed to maintain the username password into the database. Instead of that, I will hit to that KeyCloak application, okay, KeyCloak server with the valid username password. It will return us a JWT token, and based on that token, we can again call the API of that applications. So in that way, that single sign-on will work. And today we are going to do that same thing. So first here we are going to see how to install the KeyCloak. Now let's see how to download KeyCloak. So for this, search on Google KeyCloak download. You will see this option. So click here, and here you will see the page in which there are multiple options. So if you are using Windows, so you have to select or you have to download this file. If you are using the Docker, then you can go for this option, and you can, if you are using the Kubernetes and OpenShift, then you can go for this option. But right now I'm using Windows, so I'm clicking here to download this folder. Okay, so it will take a few seconds, but I have already downloaded that file. So instead of wasting time, let's directly jump onto the that downloaded folder. Okay, so this is the folder which is downloaded. Now let's extract this. So for this, open with. Okay, now I am extracting this zip file. Okay, now you can see this extracted folder. So click here. Inside this you can see this. Inside this you can see bin folder. Go to the bin folder. Now I want to run that KeyCloak server. So for this there is one command. Let me show you. So this is the command. So I'm copying this command, and then again go to that particular folder here, and then open CMD and paste this command here, and let's run. Now it will take a few seconds to run that server. So let's wait. Now I guess that server is running. So if you see there is a port 8080. So by default port for that application is 8080. So let's open that port. Okay, so localhost 8080. Now it will show you this interface, and here we need to provide username password. So I'm providing username as a avsoft, okay, at the rate gmail.com, and then password is, let's say, same, or admin, okay, and password confirmation again admin. That's it. Now that user is created, so open. Now let's log in with that username. So username was avsoft at the rate gmail.com, and password was admin. That's it. Now you can see after login such kind of console. Now after login KeyCloak, you will see these things, and here you can see that KeyCloak realm. Now what is realm? So basically, in by using the realm, we can segregate the username, passwords, or roles and clients. Okay, so we want to create a client. So for that, we need to create a realm. So create a realm, and inside that realm, let's create a client. So first step is click create a realm. So I'm creating my realm and then create. Okay, now you can see there is a master realm and there is a this realm. Okay, my realm. Now after this, what we have to do? We have to just simply create a client. So click on the client. So for our application, I want to create a client here. So what should be the client name? Let's say demo. Okay, you can give any name. And here we have to select client type is equal to OpenID Connect. Then click on next. And then you can see the options, but don't worry about this. Click on next. And here provide the URL of your application. Okay, localhost, that base path, localhost 9090. That's it. And there is a valid redirect URL. You can add multiple URLs also here. That's it. Now let's see. Click on the save button. Now we have created the realm, and then we have created the client. Now after creating the client, we have to create a roles. Okay, role. So for that, click on the client. Okay, then click on the our client demo and click on the roles, and here create a roles. So here I want to create two roles. One is user, okay, and then another role that I want called as a admin. So click on client demo, and then again role, and create another role called as a admin. Okay, so we have here two roles. One is a admin, another is a user. Now I want to create multiple users here. So right now I am creating two users. One is let's say user. Okay, and here you can select multiple options, but right now we don't need to select this. This is something different, and in the next videos we will see all that options step by steps. Okay, and here we have to provide some email ID, and this is a mandatory. Okay, this is mandatory. That's it. Now click on the create. Okay, so after this, if you see here, we have created one user called as a user. Now create another user called as here you have to provide username, let's say admin. Then you can provide any email ID. Okay, after this click on create. Could not email. Okay, so we are using the existing. Okay, let's say comms created. Okay, that's it. Now if you see here, we have two users, admin and user, and admin user has an admin role and user has a user role. That's it. So this is the setup of KeyCloak. Now, apart from this, one thing is missing here called as the credentials. So let's set the credential for the admin user first. For that, you have to click on the admin. After this, you have to click on the credentials. And here I already set, but let me reset it. And here I'm providing the password is admin. Okay, and then admin. Okay, that's it. Save. Okay, similarly, we have to set the credentials for the user. So click on the user, and then here credentials, set password, and let's say I'm providing here user password and user. That's it. Okay, make it temporary off and save. Now we have two users with two roles, admin and user, and we set the username password as well. Okay, that's it. Now what is the next thing? The next thing is we have to hit that key clock okay, to get the token, to get the JWT token. So for this, what we can do, where we get that API, so simply we have to click on real-time setting and then scroll down, and you can see here OpenID endpoint configuration. So click here and you can see some such kind of JSON. So click on pretty print and zoom in, and now you can see there's a token endpoint. Okay, there's a token endpoint. Just and paste here. Okay, once you paste, after this, you have to select that request type is a post, and inside the body you have to select that XWW form URL encoded, and here you have to provide some parameters. The first parameter called as a client underscore ID is equal to demo. So as you remember, we have already created a client called as a demo. Okay, so there we have given the client ID is equal to demo. So where you get this, let me show you it again. KeyCloak. Okay, so here click on the client, and this is our client. So click on this, and you can see client ID is equal to demo. Okay, so same thing we have to give given here. Now let's say I want to log in with the admin user. So admin, username is admin, password is admin, and grant type is equal to password. Now click on this end. Now you will see you will get this token. Okay, JW token. Now in that way, if I want a token for another user, okay, then I can select here that another user. Okay, so after this, we have to write a code into the Spring Boot application. So let's jump onto that, and we will integrate that KeyCloak with the Spring Boot application, and then we will get this token from the KeyCloak, and then by using that token, we are going to hit that slash hello user or hello admin API. Okay, so let's see. Now let's understand the flow of Spring Boot application with the KeyCloak. So let's say we have user login page in which username, password, and login button. When user click on the login button, then that request goes toward the KeyCloak. Here, as we know, we have to configure all the username password roles inside the KeyCloak. Now, in that case, KeyCloak will take that username password and validate that or authenticate that username password. Based on that authentication, it will provide a JWT token. Now that JWT token contains all the information like user, role, and some other informations. Okay, so if you want to know about the JWT token, so please go to the video on the JWT, which is given into the description. Now, once that UI or the client received that JWT token, then that will call toward the security filter chain. So basically, security filter chain is a part of our Spring Boot application. So let me repeat here. Once that UI receive that JW token, now that UI has to call our Spring Boot application API. Now it will call that Spring Boot application API with the JW token. Let's say I want to call slash hello admin API. Then it will call that API, but inside the headers, we have to put that JW token of the HTTP request. Now here string security filter chain will intercept that request. Once it intercepts that request, then it will extract that JW token and pass toward the JW decoder. Now here decoder is responsible for to extract that JWT token or decrypt that JW token. So how it is possible? Because it's encrypted, right? So without key, it is not possible to decrypt. Now who is responsible for to provide that key? So here that KeyCloak holding the key. Now our JW decoder or that Spring Boot app Spring JW decoder will call to the KeyCloak and get the key from the KeyCloak. After getting that key, based on that key or by using that key, it will able to decrypt that JWT token. Now it will validate, okay, not validate because that authentication is already done at the KeyCloak. It just decode that and return toward the Spring security filter chain. Now here security filter chain will take that token and call to the JWT authentication converter. Now here that JWT authentication converter is a class, and we have to provide the implementation. Inside that implementation, we have to write a logic to extract or to get the information from the JW token. What information? It will extract information of the roles. Okay, information of the roles. What roles that user has. And here we will extract that, and we will create one authentication object. And inside that object, we put all the roles in form of grant authorities. Basically, it's an object in the Spring security where we store the roles. We should have to store the roles. So we have to create authentication object. Inside that, we have to store all the roles. Once that is ready, then we have to return this object to the security filter chain. Now security filter chain will store that object inside the authentication, sorry, inside the security context holder. Security context holder. Now after this, here in the security filter chain, we have to configure, okay, slash hello admin can be accessible by admin role only. Now here the filter chain will go inside the security context holder and take that authentication object and check that particular user has that slash admin role or not. If yes, then it allows. Now let's create the application. So first we have to provide here name of our application. I'm selecting the latest version called as 3.3.3. And apart from this, I'm adding the dependencies. So let's add the dependency. So first dependency called as web, then second dependency called as what server, okay, resource server, where it is resource, okay, OAuth2 resource servers, and then again add a dependency called as Spring Security. That's it. And okay, so we are good here. Now create a application. Okay, and we have to import that application into our editor. So to save the time, I already uh, imported that application, okay, into the STS. So let's go step by step here. Okay, so here if you see, I have created one KeyCloak demo application, and inside that we need uh, some properties. So let's go inside the application.property. Now let's understand that application.property. So here we simply given the port. These things that we don't need it here right now, but these are the important properties. So here we just provide the client ID is equal to demo. Okay, so if you remember that in the KeyCloak, okay, server, we have created a client and whose ID is demo. Then the scope is equal to OpenID. So we are using the basically OpenID protocol. Now another thing is that KeyCloak URL. Okay, basically we are providing here a localhost 8080 because we deployed that KeyCloak, or that KeyCloak is running on that 8080 port. And here realm name. So our realm name is myrealm, and then JWT issuer URI, same thing. Okay, so we have just provide that KeyCloak URL with the realm. That's it. Now here we are good, and let's jump onto the code. Okay, so the another thing that we need called as APIs. So let me open. You can see we have REST controller, and in the REST controller we have hello user API, and another is a hello admin API. Now I want to provide here security to both the APIs, but based on the role. For example, hello user can be accessible by only user role, and hello admin can be accessible only by the admin role. So as we know in KeyCloak, we already configure that roles, okay, and usernames, okay, roles. So there is a one role called as user and another role called as admin. Okay, so that's it. Now the next thing is Spring Security Config. Let me tell you, it's very easy and straightforward. So what we did here, so as you know, in the diagram, you can see here we use security filter chain. Actually, we not use, but the first entry point is just filters. So when user logged in on the so click on the login button. So first request goes toward the KeyCloak. KeyCloak return the JWT. Now on with that JWT, we have to call security filter chain. Okay, so we have to configure that security filter chain here. Okay, let's see. So for that, we have to create a bean or object of the security filter chain. So for that, we have to write this method, public security filter chain, and HTTP security. That means this is the entry point, and here we are getting that HTTP request. Now after that, we have to configure key. If that request is come, then we have to authorize that request, authenticate and authorize. So basically, what we are going to do here, we are just providing here request matcher. Okay, this is the method, and this is the lambda expression basically. Okay, this is a lambda expression. Okay, that's it. So here we are providing the implementation. So authorize dot request matcher, and here inside this we are just providing slash hello admin URL can be accessible by only admin, and slash hello user can be accessible by only user role. That's it. Apart from this, all the requests, okay, should be authenticated. So here we configure that request matches, and apart from this, we have to configure here OAuth2 resource server. So for that request, we have to configure OAuth2 server, uh, and here we are just doing one thing. We are configuring that JWT authentication converter. So what is the use of that? Let me tell you inside the diagram. Okay. So here, if you see, once it is received by the security filter chain will call to the JWT decoder. It decodes that, and then after this it will pass that JWT to the JWT authentication converter. Here authentication converter will extract all the roles, okay, from that JWT token like admin, user, whatever, and create a grant authority object and set into the authentication, okay, and then return. So here what we are going to do, it's very simple. We have created one class called as auth converter, okay, and we are just providing or we are just configuring that converter here. That means once that request received, once it is decoded, then pass that JW token to that converter, okay, converter. Now what that converter will do, let's see. Okay, let me click on this. This is the, or if you see here, security config is here, and then there is a JWT auth converter. So if you see here, this is the code. Don't worry about this code. This code is straightforward. So what we are going to do here, we are just simply writing one class implements from the converter, and here we just create one class called as JWT, sorry, object called as JWT grant authorities converter is equal to new JWT grant authorities converter. So here that string security filter chain will call to that converter method and pass that JWT. And inside that JWT, we are just extracting the rules from that JWT token. So if you see here, stream.concat and then converter, then dot converter, we are passing that JWT, and then uh, after this, we are just extracting the JWT token. And after extracting, we are setting that inside the collection, okay. But here if you see where it is extract roles, okay, this is the method, okay. So in this method is, we have written here this method, and in that method we are just getting that JWT and we are extracting that JWT in form of maps, okay. So what we did here, jw.get claims and all. So basically this all stuff is for to get the to get that roles, okay, to get the extracted roles from the token. Now how, like, we decide that we have to write this such code in that way, how we know that where that exactly that roles are there and how we can write the code. So let me tell you, it's very simple and straightforward, okay. Understand how we return this code, okay. So for this it's very simple. Open that jwt.io, and I'm showing you the JWT token which is given by the KeyCloak, okay, and it is decrypted here. And here if you see the payload, okay, payload, basically there are three types: headers, payload, and then signature, okay. And if you want in detail, so please go through that previous video called as a JWT flow, okay, in Spring Security. Now come to the point here. Basically this is the payload, okay, and this payload we are getting this payload. Now once we get that payload, in that case we have to extract these rules, okay, extract these rules. Got it? Roles, resource, access, and these are all the rules that we need to extract. So here while extracting, we need to write a code which we written here. Okay, it's very straightforward code. We just what we did, JWT token get claims, and then we are getting that real-time access. Similarly, we are getting that resource access. If you see here, real-time access, these, and this is a resource access. So we extract in form of map, and once we get that roles, we are just adding that roles, okay, roles, or that accesses inside that role, okay. So role is a set, okay, set of roles, that's it. We just added that roles, and then what we did here, we iterate that roles using the streams, and then we are creating that simple grant authority object. Inside that object we are setting that roles, okay, role underscore that exact role. So now we have that set of simple grant authorities, and just we are returning this simple set of simple grant authorities object to the here, okay, here. And here what we are going to do, we just simply have the grant authority collection. Inside that collection we are collecting that all the extracted roles, and then after this we are creating a JWT authentication object. So let me show you in the diagram. You can see here JWT authentication converter which set all the things, all the roles inside the authentication object, and here authentication object will get created by the this converter. So same thing is doing here. We are creating a new authentication object, okay, and we are setting the JWT and authorities here. That's it. So in that way, that authentication object is ready, and it will get returned to the security filter chain. So in that way, that request flow with the KeyCloak and JWT is working. Now our code is ready. Okay, our code is ready here. Now let's start the application. Now don't worry about this code. This code is provided inside the GitHub repository. Okay, that's it. Now let's start the application where it is KeyCloak demo. Let's start. Started. Now we have two APIs. Okay, which one? Hello user and hello admin. Now as per diagram, we have to call first KeyCloak. So what is the URL that we have to call KeyCloak? Let me tell you. Okay, so you can see here, this is the URL that we need to call in the KeyCloak. Okay, called as localhost 8080 port of the KeyCloak realms, your realm name. So we have created my realm, then protocol, and protocol should be OpenID Connect, and then token. So this is the post API. Inside the body, we have to provide client ID is equal to demo, username is equal to admin, password is equal to admin, and grant type is equal to password. So as we know, we have already created this user inside the KeyCloak. That's it. Now let's hit. Now you can see we are getting the token. So I'm just copying this token. Okay. So as per diagram, what we did, let me show you. As per diagram, we just hitting from the client side to the KeyCloak, and KeyCloak return us a JWT token. Now we are going to call that slash hello admin API with the token. So let's see how to do that. Now you can see we have API called as HTTP localhost 9090 hello admin. So here inside the header, we have to provide the authorization token. Okay, so don't worry about this, all that stuff. You just need to provide here authorization, and then here bearer, and below bearer you have to paste your token which we get from the KeyCloak. So let me paste here. That's it, and click on send. Now you can see hello admin. Now our as per our string security config, let me show you it. Admin should access hello admin API, and for hello user it should be accessible by only user role. Now let's try to access slash hello user using the admin role. Okay, with the admin token. It should not be accessible ideally. Hello user, that's it. Now you can see forbidden 403. That means it is not accessible by you. Okay, so in that way it will work. That way that string security and JWT token will work. If you want to know more about the JWT token, then please go through the video, and link is given to the description. Apart from this, if you like, so please share and subscribe this video and do the comment, so I will get a motivation and I will come with the more videos. Thanks for watching my video.